Hello everybody and welcome here on the All Geared Up channel. Today with another review comparison of a microphone, or let's say we are going to do a review with a twist that you haven't seen before. And we are going to have a look at the Blue Yeti microphone and see what the fuss is about. Hello everyone and welcome here to the review of the Blue Yeti microphone. And you might think, why another review of a microphone that actually isn't new? The thing is, Blue has been bought by Logitech and they're now coming up with new lines of the Blue Yeti microphone. So they just put out the same microphone with different colors. They also put a budget microphone solution for it, which is the Blue Yeti Nano. And obviously they have the Pro version. So you see it everywhere, all over the internet. And I thought to myself, okay, I'm going to check it out and see what it actually is about. Because everyone has it. Most engineers think it isn't a great microphone. And to be honest, I'm rather skeptical. But let's see what this microphone is about. So let's do a quick unboxing here. This is the package that the Blue Yeti microphone comes in. On one side we have all the features. The next side shows us some use cases. It has some Yeti avatars on it. Then we have another overview of the microphone, and the backside shows us the different modes that are switchable on the microphone. We have figure 8, cardioid, omni and stereo mode. And they also give you some use cases that you might want to use the microphone in. I find them not really practical, to be honest, with the microphone in most cases, but let's have a closer look. So obviously we have a little user manual that comes with the microphone. Actually, there's not much more in it than you can see on the package. Again, it has all the different modes and the same use cases that are on a package. It shows the frequency response in the different modes. I rather find them not really precise, so I'm not going to go over them and mention them. They just claim to have a frequency response from 20 Hz to 20 kHz. The sound definitely changes when switching the modes, but as I said before, I don't find the graphs that I put in there really matching what's going on with the microphone. Now let's have a look what actually is inside the box of the Blue Yeti. So the packaging is, as I said, relatively nice. It is super well packaged, comes into fitted styrofoam, and then you have the microphone in there already attached to the stand. And now taking it out of the box, you see we have the microphone on the back side. Or on the bottom side, we have the USB port, the microphone stand adapter, and the headphone jack. And the microphone swivels around on the actual stand, and you can just put it on your desk and adjust it. Again, I do not recommend using the stand as it is kind of microphonic, so all the vibrations transfer right into the microphone. On the front, then we have the mute button and also the volume switch, which is, I have to say, quite wobbly. You don't really have a tactile feel. Then on the backside we have the mode dial and the gain knob, which adjusts the microphone gain or the volume of the microphone. So first of all, we are going to check out the Blue Yeti. Sorry for destroying the package here, but yeah, the package is relatively nice, and obviously they put a lot of effort into the packaging and the marketing material for the microphone. And we will do a little comparison here. So let me just briefly go over what my intentions are with making this video, as there are already hundreds of videos about the Blue Yeti out there, and they're probably well done, showing you all the modes on the microphone, going over all the specs. We are going to go over the specs, obviously, and because we are going to compare it to a microphone that is different in price, but actually quite similar in terms of the specs. And then I want to introduce a little bit of a twist here. So the twist of this review will be that I'm actually going to open up the Blue Yeti microphone and show you the insides, which to some might be interesting because your expectations of the microphone might not align what actually the microphone is about. So let me just quickly go over the specs of the two microphones that we have here so you know what they are about. So the first microphone we have here obviously is the Blue Yeti microphone, which you're listening to now. And the microphone, I will just briefly go over the specs. So first of all, it's a USB microphone. That means it has the interface basically built in. And you just plug it into your computer and it just works. So it's quite easy to manage to anyone who is not tech savvy. Then it comes with the stand. The stand to most people probably seems to be a good thing, but the bad thing is you're most likely putting it on your desk, like I have done now. And everything that goes on your desk will transfer directly into the microphone. And even though the capsules are shock mounted as they are in a rubber housing, still everything is going to translate into the microphone, which is not ideal. So what else about this microphone? As it is a USB microphone, it has the interface built in, which means we have an analog to digital converter, converting to the digital audio signal that goes into your computer and converting the digital audio from your computer into the interface back, which means you can plug in your headphones and listening to what's going on. Then we have a mute button, which is kind of handy, I have to say, a volume knob for your headphones and a gain knob which adjusts the volume of the microphone. And then the specialty about this microphone is that it has 3 capsules and it allows you to switch modes. So we have a cardioid mode, an omnidirectional mode, an bidirectional mode, and a stereo mode. The microphone capsules are arranged to have 1 in the front and 2 on the back side, which are at a 45-degree angle. And then you can mix and match how they are interacting with each other, which is quite nice. But I would assume for most cases that people are using it, they just need a microphone with 1 capsule. Otherwise, in terms of specs, they claim to have a sound pressure of 120 decibels. They claim to have a frequency response from 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, and which is a little bit of a bummer, is the recording resolution, which is only 16-bit. It's not the best, so they definitely cheaped out a little bit and made the Pro version, which can go up to I think 24 bits. And yeah, so again, that was the quick rundown of the Blue Yeti microphone. So the second microphone I have here to compare the Blue Yeti to is the Samsung CO2. Why have I chosen this microphone? For once, I have it here. Then it is a small condenser microphone and it is relatively inexpensive. So it's not a USB microphone, but considering the price, so most of the time they're sold as a pair, and the pair is priced at like $110 US. Sometimes you can get one sold individually for $60, but then comparing it to like maybe you take the $60 and buy a $20 interface or $30 interface, you're still much cheaper than the Blue Yeti, which comes in at $120 US. So that makes it quite interesting to compare these two. So that was a quick rundown of the specs. And now we're going to switch back and forth between the microphone, and you can listen which one you prefer and consider the price difference here. So we have the Blue Yeti, which is this universal, everyone knows it, everyone has it microphone. It is USB, it plugs right into your computer. It has different modes, just in case you need them. Most of the time you probably don't. you can use your headphones. And on the other hand, we have a microphone that is much cheaper. But I think it is interesting in terms of the price, but also obviously the negative would be you need multiple parts to make it work with your computer, but the microphone itself is much smaller, so you can get it much closer without having it in frame. Which makes it much better. But also it comes with shock mounts, so you can stick the microphones into a rubber shock mount, which is already much better in terms of the sound that comes in from the outside, transferring through the stand. So there are the pros and cons. One is the one thing does everything in the box, and the other one is smaller, lighter, cheaper. How does it sound? So from what I have done in previous testing is I find the Blue Yeti in terms of the audio quality, considering they are the same distance here and the same polarity or pickup pattern, I find it rather noisy. So it picks up much more noise. It is much more high pitched in the super high frequencies. And other than that, obviously, if you're not switching the modes, I don't see a reason why you actually want to get it. Now let me tell you what actually is inside and what makes most people maybe think twice after seeing this. So when I opened up the Blue Yeti microphone, the first thing I discovered is obviously I have a bunch of microphones here, and the Blue Yeti is, in terms of the diameter, it's the biggest microphone I've ever gotten, and I don't see a reason why it's supposed to be this big. It's not practical to have such a big microphone, but I assume in terms of the marketing that most people make a connection of bigger is better, and they see this microphone on a desk or on a stand and assume it's a professional grade microphone. And then you have the price, which is for a cheap microphone, it's rather expensive with over $100. And obviously they now introduce design features like as they now have been bought by Logitech, they come up with different colors, so you can get it in pink and blue and gray and black and silver and whatever you imagine. That probably makes it attractive to potential buyers. And obviously they put a lot of money, as I mentioned before, into the marketing materials and how this microphone is presented. And it starts with the box. So you have these Yeti illustrations all over the microphone explaining what it is, which use cases you might want to use it. You have a rundown of the features. And interesting enough, you see the capsules. So there are 3 capsules in there, and I will explain the capsules in a little bit. And obviously then you have a description of the polar patterns and when you might want to use which is not necessarily true. So I found with previous tests that in most cases, like I would be using it now, the figure 8 polar pattern is better because it rejects much more of the environmental noise. So when I opened up the Blue Yeti microphone, I was sometimes kind of confused because not only are the externals super big and spacious, but also the board they put in is super big. And considering the few elements that are on there, which are also tiny, so it has a few chips obviously running the analog to digital and digital to analog converter, the interface, the preamp is running on there, and then you have obviously have to make space for the switches, but except for the rotating switch on the back to dial in the modes, they're all digitally controlled, and yeah, usually it doesn't take much space, but I think it's done in terms of the marketing because the bigger the better. And the next thing after taking out the board itself was having a look at the capsules, and I haven't checked what the microphone is before, and I assumed, as probably everyone else who's buying it, even though it is on the packaging showing 3 small condenser capsules, I opened it up and was like, oh, there's small condenser capsules in there, and 3 of them. And I looked at them and I was like, okay, that's going to be interesting. But the interesting thing about the capsules is I cannot say definitely what it looks like when I go into my electronics store and buy $2 premium grade cheap capsules. That they look pretty much the same. So, and that's transferring to, okay, we are buying a super cheap microphone. The housing is, everything is basically out of plastic except for the stand. So let's go over the build quality of the microphone, because that is also quite interesting. So the outer shell is kind of a cheap metal. The grill is plastic. The board itself is, as I could see, like the circuit is nothing super fancy. There's no analog conversion going on. There is just integrated circuits ready to go, preamplifiers. The capsules are looking like relatively cheap and inexpensive capsules that you can buy in pretty much every electronics store. The mounting is, they obviously mounted it as with rubber, which is supposed to have, and it turns out it doesn't. The buttons are all flimsy and wobbly, and overall it doesn't feel like a microphone that you paid $120 for. And then I look at the CO2. It has a metal housing. It comes with decoupled mounting for your stand. It obviously doesn't have the best capsule, but for the money, it makes rather of a professional impression. As I said, it's not my favorite microphone, but for a small condenser, if you're just getting started, it's relatively cheap. So, and it runs on 48 phantom power, which makes it easier on your preamp, so you can get a super inexpensive interface for you. So overall, I have to say, the Blue Yeti, the concept is interesting, and obviously they sell like crazy. The marketing material is super great. It is a one plug in and work solution. But if you are striving to get good sound for people who buy it as an upgrade of a cheaper microphone, it's probably not worth spending extra money on it, because except for the different modes, as you have three cheap capsules, it's not gonna do much in terms of your sound quality for you. So I usually do not like bitching about gear, and obviously you can get decent audio quality out of cheap equipment, but when I consider spending a lot of money, you probably have the intention to really upgrade what you already have. And I'm not sure if the Blue Yeti fits into that market of upgrading your gear. So the conclusion here is, let's consider you have bought into a cheap microphone and are not satisfied with the sound quality you're getting from it. And then you consider upgrading, and the Blue Yeti, in terms of the price, is perfectly where you would expect to land when you're upgrading from a really cheap microphone. So considering that, you might assume you are getting a microphone with pro audio sound, which is not necessarily true. So except from having three capsules, they are all relatively inexpensive, and the resolution you get from the digital to analog converter is also quite limited compared to what you can get for probably 2/3 or maybe even half the price. So if you are in the market of upgrading, maybe you might be a little bit disappointed by choosing the Blue Yeti microphone. So I do not want to bitch about products here, but considering the price you're paying for a Blue Yeti microphone, you're probably better off spending a little less and investing the money in something else, like acoustic treatment of your room, or a solution to get your microphone closer to the source, because the closer the microphone, the less you have to gain stage your preamp, and the less environmental noise and reverb it's going to pick up. And there is probably a solution for like the Blue Yeti. Can I recommend it? If you rely on getting a microphone that does everything in the box and you have to rely on stereo recording and omnidirectional and figure 8 recording as well, then probably it is the right microphone. But if you just need a microphone for better audio than you can get from a camera, or better audio than you can get from your 15-20 bucks Chinese condenser microphone, then really consider spending your money somewhere else. I really hope I could help you making a decision here if you're in the market in buying or upgrading a microphone. So that's why I compared it to a cheaper microphone, and I really hope it helps. We're going to put some more videos on this channel here in the future. So if you're interested in microphones, if you're interested in all sorts of gear, subscribe to the channel and we will put up some more videos in the future. So that's it for today. I really hope it helps, and see you in the next video.